Namaste, Jai Hind, and thank you for joining us on this edition of The Right Stand. I'm Anand Narsimhan. The Shraddha murder committed by Aftab, as he has confessed to the cops so far, has shocked the nation. For the last 48 hours, this has been the conversation all around. How gruesome it is, how barbaric, how diabolic, and are people going to learn to become criminals as they watch web series, etc. There are corners which have also said that this is an ill in society or a malaise in society because there is a larger pattern to it. And some politicians like Ram Kadam and other ministers have also come out and used the coinage that is love jihad, saying that this is being done with an underlying hatred of one group with another group. So it's a Muslim hatred or using love to trap, ensnare Hindu girls and then perhaps use them, kill them or then kill them, however it is. Now, that's a larger political argument to it. But what we are trying to do tonight, ladies and gentlemen, first we'll bring you up to speed on the day's development on what happened in the Shraddha murder probe, where it is so far. The cops have to piece together the evidence. They have to make sure that they have a case itself, the 5-day remand that's coming up, and they have to make a strong case in court for an extension of the police custody. They also have to corroborate all that he's saying in court with the cops with hard evidence. Otherwise, they will have to register a statement in front of a magistrate, because what he's saying right now to the cops need not necessarily be admissible in court, because he could claim that he's made all these claims under duress, and he is quite devious. The entire, it's quite shocking, the details as it comes out, that for 6 months this man lived not just with the murder but also with the body of the person who he claimed to love and he moved with from Mumbai to Delhi. So let's try and look at what are the details so far that we have. 1. The cops decide on psychoanalysis of Aftab because they have to prove in court that this man is not insane. His mental makeup when he committed the murder and when he's confessing to it have to be proven. Then the other important part, that Shraddha's father had a 3-minute 48-second long conversation with the News 18 network and also said that they were not very happy with what she decided to do, but she broke all ties with the family and went to live with this man. Shraddha's and once again, the other day aspect that we've been able to find out, Divakar Singh and also Mihir have been able to find out, praise Vivek Gupta. They all have worked together and tried to piece together where were they staying. Shraddha and Aftab posed as a married couple when they rented an apartment in Mumbai's Vasai area, lived there for 6 months. They lived in Mumbai for 6 months before suddenly deciding to break away their rented tenancy contract and move to Delhi. And within 3 days of moving to Delhi, that's what some people are saying. They're saying 3 days to a week as they're piecing together. This murder was committed on the 18th of May. What happened on that night? Around 5 to 6 p.m. in the evening, they both have a fight on household affairs. And between 8 and 10 p.m. in a fit of rage, Aftab once again, Aftab strangles her, kills her. Then he spent the whole night in that room with the body. The next day goes out to purchase a refrigerator and of course the knife and saw to cut through Shraddha's body. So these are the aspects so far, the developments. But is Shraddha's murder, should it be looked at as a diabolic crime committed by a person in a fit of rage as an individual instance, or is there a sinister pattern that is visible? Let's try and piece together some of the recent developments, and is it a pan-India malaise? Let's try and understand that. Dumka, August 22nd. This is Shahrukh and Ankita case. Shahrukh stalks Ankita, and despite her spurning him, he stalks her, and then he enters Ankita's room, pours petrol on her and sets her ablaze. This happened in Dumka. Then Gurugram, October 20th. Tausif asks Nikita, a school-time friend, to marry him. She refuses, and what does he do? He shoots Nikita dead. Sonabhadra in September 2020, Ejaz and Priya. Ejaz and Priya get married. Ejaz's family want Priya to convert. Priya refuses. Ejaz allegedly murders Priya. This happened in Sonabhadra. Delhi, February 2018, Ankit and Shehzad. Lovers, Ankit and Shehzadi, they want to marry. Shehzadi's family refuses. Shehzadi's family murders Ankit. Bidar in Jan 2018, Shamsuddin's overtures repeatedly spurned by Pooja. and Shamsuddin sexually assaults and then murders Pooja. So these are, but over the last 3 or 4 years, some of the instances that have come to fore. There is an instance that's come forth from Lucknow today, where again, Sufyan pushes Nidhi Gupta from the rooftop and she is dead. So the family alleges it's that man who has said, this is what the family has said. So are these random crimes over a period of time they looked up, or is there a sinister pattern to this? Who are these people who believe they can take a life? It's not just Shraddha's murder is what we are saying. Let's go across to our guest, Abhijit Majumdar, consulting editor, First Post. Ishkaran Singh Bhandari, lawyer, will be joining us. Professor Gargi Nandi Roy, political analyst, is with us. And Prem Kishan Jain, former IPS. Namaste to everybody. Thank you very, very much. Gargi Nandi Roy, let me please start with you. Would you see it as random crimes? Would you say that there would be other cases too, where it could be a Hindu boy and perhaps a Muslim girl, or we should not look at it from the Hindu-Muslim prism at all? Just look at how men in our society are behaving and who believe that they can go ahead, kill, strangle, burn, maim a woman if they are jilted, angry, upset with a woman.
Thank you, Anand, for inviting me. See, Anand, globally, this phenomenon is called intimate femicide, when a woman is killed by the partner. Now, all the cases, say the Dumka case of Shah Rukh murdering Ankita and all, there we can see a pattern. If people are saying love jihad and all, but in this particular Shraddha and Aftab's case, here we are still not sure, or it's not still clear whether there was a similar pattern like we have seen in Dumka or like we have seen in other places, because here still now Aftab has said, now how much we should take his confession, that has to be thought of. He's saying because the girl wanted to marry. If it was a case of love jihad, like Nikita was killed because she did not want to convert to marry. Ankita refused Shah Rukh. But here he is saying that the girl wanted to marry him and she was refusing. If it would have been a love jihad, then maybe he would have converted her. So in this particular case, unless the police gets out more confessions, this particular case cannot be related, I personally feel, to the Dumka case or the Nikita Tomar case, or maybe, this year September there was a Rupali murder case in Bombay also, where she refused to wear the burqa. The Hindu girl converted to Islam, but she refused to wear burqa. She was killed by Iqbal. But I think those cases can have a pattern, but particularly Aftab I find as a sick person, a criminal-minded person, who, because without being a criminal, who will do this? Chop and keep the bodies, bring in other girls. I mean, it is bone-chilling. Our conscience is shaken. But Anand, I want to end by saying that, today, I think after this incident, we as parents, we as teachers, we as a society really need to reflect. Suppose even if it is love jihad, where are we failing as parents? Shouldn't we as parents inculcate those values of our civilization, of our culture in our children, that a girl at 25 will not say the parents, you are no more my parents, I'm leaving. And that's what this girl Shraddha had done. Why will a woman talk like that to the parents? Why have we as parents failed to inculcate that values? And today I think education system needs to have relationship education, where children from the age of 15, 16 must be told about dating apps, where you see online profile. If you see this Aftab's online profile, he came out as a very liberal person. He thought about women's rights. So you cannot believe a person by seeing the online profile. Children should be taught from 15, 16 years. And children should be told from that age that for one person you cannot leave your parents, and for one person you should cut off your network with everybody.
But this is what happens, Professor Roy, this is what happens. The more we say don't do it, the more they want to do it. The other idea is to try and inculcate a certain level of value system, awareness.
Value system. Yes,
but,
that's why the parents and
but why focus only on the girls, Abhijit Majumdar? Who are these boys? Who are these boys who believe who can go ahead and behave like this? There was a case, there was a lot of furor on it when Himanta Biswa Sarma commented that in Facebook, on platforms like Facebook and other places, there are a lot of people who are creating fake profiles. So they are boys from one particular community who pose as boys from another particular community. They ensnare, date the girls, woo the girls, and then eventually reveal what their actual identity is, and it's too far gone because there is social stigma that is attached to it, ostracization attached to it,
and can be called love jihad, but not.
And there are other matters. So would you see a pattern emerging? I'm not going and calling it love jihad, etc. But would you see a pattern, or would you say this is an isolation and other instances are separate? Don't try and mix the two. Abhijit.
Yes, Anand. I mean, this obviously at this point of time, you can't call it love jihad. But why there is so much public outrage right now? Because we have been seeing a very clear pattern, a number of such incidents in the last few years, where people, there are so many things happening. One is, of course, I mean, changing identity and sort of ensnaring girls, non-Muslim girls.
Yeah.
Second is, Anand, if you look at the, some of the Muslim organizations, radical organizations, and how they have been functioning, organizations like PFI or even certain wings of Jamaat, they have been openly funding dawa, conversion, and luring non-Muslim women specifically. I mean, PFI had a women's cell called Shaheen Gang or something like that, which actually extended, which helped lure non-Muslim girls for these purposes. We have seen a string of such murders where Muslim boys have posed as Hindu men and taken names, and then got a non-Muslim woman to marry them, and then when they refuse to convert, they have been killed, tortured, whatever. Now society has seen that there is a systematic attempt to do this. There is a sanction. There is, I mean, if I read out, Anand, if you can give me a few seconds, Surah 33.5, it says, "We have made lawful for you your wives to whom you have already paid their bridal due, as well as those whom your right hands possess from among the captives of war that God has granted you." So this is, talking about, kafir, non-believer women. So this kind of sanction, either the Muslim clergy should also, step in instead of keeping mum. That these verses were first of all written much, 14,000 or 1400 years ago,
Yes.
and it shouldn't be read literally or something like that. And also this whole culture, the groups that are encouraging this, even this Aftab, from the reports that I've read, all his other girlfriends, the ones that he chose from these dating sites and all that, are all all non-Muslim women. So this is a horrific case. This seems more like a case of a demented, violent mind. Maybe religion has nothing to do with it in this case, but there are too many instances for us not to be alarmed as society and take steps. That is the too many. In fact, I think today there is a news that a girl has been thrown from fourth floor.
Lucknow. Lucknow. I mentioned Nidhi Gupta by a guy called by name Sufyan.
Sufyan, thrown and killed. So why is it? Because she refused to be converted. So there is certainly a pattern. There is a political move, a conscious move. One can keep denying it till cows come home, but there is no denying that there has been a systematic move to do this, whether it's for a demographic agenda, or it is to sort of create fear psychosis,
Whatever the motive, you are saying that whatever the motive, there is a pattern. Whether this murder fits that pattern is still subject. But some aspects of his behavior point towards the pattern. Other aspects of the behavior show it's a crime of passion or a crime of rage that he decided. And then once he decided, what do I do with it? How do I get away with it? And then he just got more and more corrupted mentally and perhaps got far more debased.
Which is why it is so important for not just parents but society as a whole to be a lot more alert than we have been, lot more conscious.
Correct, but then you are bordering on the Ishkaran Bhandari. Prem Kishan ji, I'll come to you after Ishkaran and get your thoughts. Interestingly, I had a gentleman who told me something very interesting. He says in Bharatiya Bhasha we say Mahila or Stri. In Arabic or Persian it is Khatun or Bibi. What does this word Aurat actually mean, which we use in common parlance? So if you have the time, quickly just search and see what pops up. And see how did it get infused into our lexicon, and why were women in Sindhu, that is in this region, that is Bharat, why were they referred to as Aurat? Try and understand that. Then perhaps there will be an underlying aspect of what is being coached or what is being taught. But Ishkaran Bhandari, where would you see? Would you see a sinister pattern, or would you say this is a crime and separate of what others are alleging?
Anand, this case is in day 2 of investigation. Let the police investigate. But you have a question there. Is love jihad real? There is no question left. There are judgments of the court which say it is real. Kerala High Court, as far back as 2009, said there is a need to frame anti-love jihad laws. And incidentally, because the lobby will start off, it was not a case where the Hindu community was raising its voice. It was by Christian community which was raising its voice. Second point, let us be very clear. In UP, there is already a conviction in love jihad case. Third, you just raised today a case of Nidhi Gupta, where the mother, the victim says, the victim's family, and victim's family statement is taken very seriously in all jurisprudences. So the victim's family says that Sufyana gave her a phone, was forcing her to convert. She refused. She told us. We confronted his family. Important. The family is not stopping Sufyana, or was unable to stop Sufyana. We confronted Sufyana, and after that he got enraged and he pushed her off the roof. So that is again very clear statement by the victim's family. But let us be very clear. We are doing disservice in real time. UK, there has been a long trend of not referring to grooming gangs. Rishi Sunak had to give an interview in which he spoke that because of political correctness, we are not understanding grooming gang. Firstly, grooming gang, what is happening is not grooming. They are not going to beauty parlors or saloon. Just Google what grooming gang is. Second part, which is even more important, when we are talking about India, in Indian case, love jihad is being buried under a topic because of the same political correctness, and we are having real-time harm. I ask you this question, you are a very senior person in media. Why do certain headlines have the name of the victim and the accused in media, and certain headlines don't have the name of the victim or the religion or the caste of the victim or the accused? That has become a pattern. A person doing PhD in journalism should study it. It's a deep pattern. Just a cursory search will tell you how deep the pattern has become. Why? Because there is this conspiracy of silence. There is this conspiracy that you would be called X, Y, Z if you state facts. I am very happy that you are doing this debate. It's very unfortunate times, but this debate is very important because everybody should know the reality. Only when you know the reality can you safeguard. So please stop brushing it under the carpet, whether it be Bollywood, which has some extreme versions of what is true love, and it is only true love if it is this guy and this girl. But what is happening in real time is real loss of lives across states. That is a pattern which must be investigated.
Well, there are very, very compelling arguments, and you have said that there is a certain level of political correctness, but there is also a certain level of squeamishness which happens. So why do you want to put this word? Let's not say it. In some other cases, go ahead and say it. Just go ahead and put it. It just happens for some. Sometimes the conditioning is thus. So there are multiple ways to look at it. Here we just say it as it is. It's a reality, it's in society. Now if it is a malaise, it needs to be corrected. If it is deliberate, then again it needs to be addressed. PK Jain ji, in your many years of experience, have you seen a pattern, or are these just crime and then the aspect of religion, community, etc. just gets layered onto what is nothing but an act of inhumanity?
See, Anand, of late we've been hearing a lot about the love jihad. There are, as Ishkaran has very rightly pointed out, there are judgments of the court where this particular term has been referred to, and there is a clear mention about the love jihad part of it. And there's a systematic plan of converting the non-Muslims to the Muslim religion by marriage or by coercion, by whichever way it is. But normally, as a policeman, I would first like to look at it as a simple crime, as a crime which is a dastardly crime, which is a very, very horrific and barbaric crime. Now, this crime has taken place unless the guy had tried to conceal his identity as a Hindu or as from some other religion and then try to cheat the girl. It would have fallen under the category of love jihad. Here, the boy is known to be a Muslim. He's known to the girl. The girl has actually defied her own family and decided to move in. Their rent agreement states them as husband and wife. Now, it was a live-in relationship. I know for certain that in Maharashtra, in case there's a Muslim boy and Hindu girl and Hindu boy and Muslim girl, they want to get married, there is a proper procedure which has to be followed. The government gets involved in. They are verified, vetted. Only then the permission is granted to them for getting married. Because that means the government has also taken cognizance of the fact that yes, there is a deliberate attempt on the part of certain individuals and organizations to convert certain individuals to the Muslim religion. But as far as this particular offense is concerned, since the boy did not try to conceal his identity, I would look at it as a pure and simple crime of murder, where the person appears to be, 6 months sitting over a crime, staying for a number of days with the dead body, chopping her and disposing her one by one and all. So this is a very premeditated murder which has taken place. The police is rightly on the job. They are collecting evidence. I'm sure that, like in Sheena Bohra's case, where the murder came to light after, I think, almost about 2 years. Now, in this case also, it is much earlier than that. Police will have to put in a lot of labor, lot of effort to put the evidence together and nail this guy. Because unless the entire evidence is properly streamed together, cogently presented to the court, the conviction does not take place. We have a country in which the murderers and the rapists are getting scot-free because there's a delay in their hanging. The Supreme Court has released so many people earlier. A few days back, again, a similar case took place where delay in execution of the death sentence also has allowed the accused to go scot-free. So what I feel is that the police will have to be on their toes. They'll have to collect the evidence very diligently, collect a lot of forensic evidence, collect a lot of circumstantial evidence, and then make a very watertight case to prosecute this accused.
Anand. Point well made, Ishkaran, and then Professor Roy. Yes.
Anand, just a small point. I agree with everything Jain Saab has said, except I will just add one thing. Love jihad is not only when you hide your religious identity, it is also that you got into a relationship, the other person knew your identity. But once you got into the relationship, either physical or emotional, you start forcing her to convert, which is what Nidhi Gupta or Nikita Singh or whatever case seems to be. So that is also love jihad.
I agree.
This case, whether it is that or not, let the police investigate and we will find that.
True. In this case, the fact is he didn't want to get married to her. He said that he would. It started.
That's also a version, Anand.
See, it was portrayed as the evidence that we're getting is they posed as a married couple when they wanted to move in Vasai in Mumbai. Suddenly, they decide to come to Delhi. Now, was this move because he got a job or because he had already planned to murder her and he wanted to do it away from Mumbai? So that's again subject to investigation. We do not know the details there, but. Clearly, once they came here, now there are multiple talks going on. Whether it was an open relationship, whether it was a live-in relationship, whether she wanted to get married but he didn't want to get married. Were they fighting because he was regularly trying to, solicit other women and try and approach them while she knew what these are. All these details are coming in, and it's just going to get a little more murky because there'll be a lot of stories that will be spun. But what was the underlying intent of him targeting girls who are non-Muslim girls after committing the murder over the last 5-6 months? So does that hint towards a pattern?
Yes, Anand, that might hint towards a pattern that he was only particularly targeting non-Muslim girls. So that can. And now the police has to find out whether she refused to convert for marriage and that's why she was killed, that has to be found out by the police. Then only you can put it. Love jihad happens. I have seen situations where women are emotionally blackmailed. Like after years of relationship, the man says that he loves her so much but cannot marry because of religious reason unless she converts. So the woman, even if she doesn't want to, she's so emotionally so much involved with that man physically and emotionally that she's forced to. I've seen it in my close family, Anand. So I know it. And another thing you asked about aurat, right? Nobody said that. Do you? In Arabic, you said something because such objectification of women. Ishikaran, do you know in Arabic and all, it comes to something genital nudity because my aurat means sexual pleasure. If I'm not wrong, Anand, that's what you were asking to Ishikaran before, that somebody says that aurat ka matlab Arabic and Persian mein. That's how women are objectified also. The word aurat in Arabic and all, that my sexual pleasure, that is the word. So that's how they are objectified.
Correct, but how did that word come into our lexicon and how did it become common parlance to be used
because
here?
You asked before, Anand, I answered
I'm just saying that is something.
Anand, am I correct or
yes,
not?
Yes, you are. That's why I asked all the viewers to just go ahead and look it up themselves and then think. How did it come into common parlance and how did it become part of our lugat or lexicon or dictionary? So did they deliberately corrupt it to make a reference? So and then again going back to a mindset and a pattern. But if there is a mindset that exists, then Abhijit, we should say that even though we discuss these matters, it's not that we are against one person or making a choice of spending life with another person irrespective of what their caste creed community is. So if that is the case, Abhijit, so do we say don't intercaste marriages, inter-community marriages should not happen at all? Or how do you say what is love jihad and what is not, if there is love jihad? What is intentional intent with the intent of a underlying messiah, or what hints of an underlying messiah, and what is just two individuals, matured individuals, grown-up individuals making a choice, and then after that things may not work out. That's a different point. How do you put a finger on what is what? Abhijit.
There are two dynamics in such relationships, right, Anand? I mean, it's not just an individual in love with another individual and they decide to settle down and whatever. If that is so, nobody has a problem. See, nobody has a problem. Nobody is interfering in, I am in love with somebody. I am fine with what she the religion she practices or faith or whatever. That's an entirely different matter altogether. But why is such a concern getting more and more intense? Because it is not just the individual dynamics. It's also the community, the group dynamics at work here. As Gargiji rightly said, I mean, the tremendous amount of emotional blackmail is used. And of course, I mean, in many cases, it goes on to coercion and force. To actually change the way you live, you basically wipe out your past, wipe out your links with your culture, your family, everything. So when that is happening, how can we judge that relationship all other relationships? It's then not that. It's not a matter of just love. It's also then matters of politics, demographics, cultural takeover. All these things come into play. So you cannot then judge that relationship in isolation.
Correct.
You cannot judge that string of relationships in isolation, because that is how land after land has lost. Their past has been wiped off.
By the sword,
has been, by
the sword,
or rather resilient. That हस्ती मिटती नहीं है हमारी, तो ठीक है. We must have won quite a few wars. Which are not this thing, and we must have been seriously resilient.
No, as per historian K.S. Lal and Dr. Vikram Sampath, we have survived a genocide which counts for more than 80 million Bharatiya Hindus. So that and of course by the sword and also by cultural coercion or by contractual engagements like marriage. If this is a civilizational conflict that we are seeing manifest at different levels, which is ingrained in certain mindsets, then we have a serious concern. But how do we do that? If somebody forces somebody to convert after getting into a contract or into a relationship, when I say contract as a marriage, or getting into a relationship and pressurizes, then that's fraudulent, that's forceful, that is illegal, that can be acted upon. But sometimes, Ishkaran, we have seen cases where it happens after the couple have had a child. So then the emotional bond is more and the pressure is far greater. And at that time, women then willingly, they have no other choice. So there is also the issue of social stigma. So it's quite complex when we look at all of that. But does all of that actually merit consideration in this case?
Anand, all of that merits consideration because this case has caught an imagination. But even today, Lucknow, we had a same case.
Yeah.
So this topic merits consideration. Whether this case falls squarely within that topic or incidentally within the topic, let the police investigate. They are a professional police force. They will come out with a version. But the problem is, because of one reason, as you said, squeamishness, political correctness, or any other reason, we have not been facing facts. And every time you don't face a fact, every time you misidentify a disease, every time you misidentify the true logic behind certain thing being done, you can never reach to a solution or you can never correct yourself. And let us be very honest, this problem is magnified because it has been promoted, I would say, to an extent by various cultural factors from Bollywood onwards to some very, very influential influencers. I ask you a question. A horrible, horrible thing happened in Kathua. But what has that got to do with a temple or Devi Sthan? A horrible thing can happen in any religious institution. It can happen in any secular place. But that entire Bollywood, all influential people came out with big banners. Devi Sthan, Mandir, temple, negative word association. Now, if you don't see a pattern in that, then you are a blind man or a blind audience or a blind person, and I can't help you. Why is that pattern repeated? And I started by this. Just Google headlines. Why do certain headlines, and it's somebody who's reasonably proficient at social media, attention span is 5 seconds. If the thing is not in headline, if it's in paragraph 4, it may as well not be there. So what you see is we are TikTok generation. Headline will say this caste accused, this caste victim. That is it. But when you come to certain other things, it will be paragraph 5, which nobody reads. Everybody reads headline or first 5 lines. And that's well documented, well researched by anybody who understands social media or in digital media. So let us be very clear. That is why this topic is important, whether this case or all cases. And I'm very, very happy. Finally, 0.01% debate has started on this.
Makran Paranjpe said that it's a ganging up of the red, green and the woke that is pushing out all this kind of narrative in terms of the words and how the interpretation should happen. But we'll keep that aside. But Professor Gargi Nandi Roy, how do we address this? And how can government, the law-making system, the enforcers of the law that's in police, how do they address it? Sometimes you know a lot of things, but you can't do anything about it because you've got to prove it. It has to hold the test of merit or test of scrutiny in the court of law.
I think, more than law, it's our families which we have to do. See, it is good to give modern education to your children, but along with that, we need to inculcate the values, tell them, and there is no problem in interfaith marriage. I am also not against it. People can be in love, but there is a 1954 Special Marriage Act in our country. So the women and the men, girls and boys should be told, yeah, you are really in love with the other person, accept the person as the person is. So accept the person's religion, let him or let her practice whatever his or her religion. So there is a 1954 Act. So if they are marrying like that, nobody has a problem. But when there is a coercion, when there is an emotional blackmailing, that is when we should say it is alarming. So we as a family and as a society must be alarmed. Where in this Aftab's case, even the society didn't care. The friends, they knew that she was in a toxic relationship. She was getting abused. Friends should have tried to bring her out. No? She told the friends. In the society, nobody noticed. Are we so insensitive, Anand? Are we becoming in the age of social media where we are so fond of our likes? We are counting likes. We don't know what is happening to the neighbor.
See, here is what happens. Here is what happens. You may want to intervene with as a good Samaritan, but you tend to get told off because they'd say it is in our house, we'll manage. Miyan biwi mein jhagda hota rehta hai, kabhi kabhar hota hai, and then the very person who's saying help me, the next day would say all is well. So then what do? And then you do not know till the time, well, it's too late and the person is no longer around. Final word, PK Jainji. So,
but then 15 days, don't you think, Anand, 15, 16 or 18 days, that guy was going out at 2 in the night and nobody noticed. People got some smell. Then they got the smell of the incense. So some raw meat smell, then incense smell. Then the windows of the house was always closed. He never used to talk. Every night a person is going out with polythene bags. Nobody noticed or nobody cared to notice. So as families and society, we have to be more responsible. Everything cannot
a
be
little
done
more
by
vigilant,
the
you are
public.
saying. Little more of a social audit is required. Kiran Bedi ji also talked about it. PK Jain ji, as a cop,
agency can do their job, but we have to do
as a
more.
cop, how difficult or easy is it for you to pinpoint? And sometimes you know it, but you still can't prove it in a court of law.
See, in this case, Anand, it is two adults consenting to love each other and maybe have a live-in relationship, and they move in together. There's nothing that the law can do about it. As our analyst has said, this madam has said, I think it is a question of the children being made aware of the threats outside and how they should perceive and evaluate those threats. And the very fact that yes, there's a specific and there's a very persistent attempt on the part of a particular community to befriend girls from a different community because number one, they have more money, number two, they are better looking, or whatever their reasons be. So this I come from the Jain community. There are a lot of Jain girls who are getting hooked by the Muslim boys, and many parents come to me for help. But there's nothing that I can do because they are two adults. There's nothing that one can do about it. The only thing is if the girl ever comes back, you can make her understand, you can counsel her, but eventually it all turns out to be her own decision. In this case also, it was the girl's decision. So love jihad and all those factors probably can be countered more at the social level, more by discussions and debates like this on your channel and various other channels. But eventually the fact of as far as for me as a legal person it is concerned, I have to go strictly by the law. I have to see whether the girl was being coerced. In this case, who's going to give evidence now? What was the contentious issue between the two of them? Whether it was conversion, whether it was something else? Who's going to say that? So one has to basically treat it as an offense, as a crime of murder, and collect evidence accordingly. If something else comes up during investigation, then you try to take that particular angle also into consideration and then collect evidence to that effect. So this is what, as a legal person, I would do. I mean, I as a senior officer, I can't think of anything more than that I would be able to do in a situation like this.
Well, thank you very much. We have started the conversation. There is a certain level of consideration that is required to all our panelists. Thank you very much for joining us here on this edition of The Right Stand. My namaste and Jai Hind. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a very, very short break. When we come back, we turn the spotlight back on Indonesia. We're in Bali today. The Prime Minister officially on behalf of Bharat received and assumed the presidency at G20. He got the hammer and it was presented to him from 1st December onwards. India assumes the presidency at G20. But along with that, has India's vision, Bharat's vision, found resonance on a world platform? We talk about it when we come back. Stay with us.